going, see if this is gonna work. It says we're live. Are we live? You are live. All right, it says the internet can see me now, which is awesome. Hoping that it's gonna stream over. Just refresh this page. So I'm setting this up now so that I can get it all set up so we can really just start at 8. So if you are watching, head over to the live feed. The watch page is at the watch page is at highlevelhistory.com/peptalk, and that's going to be your best place to engage on this. I've got, questions on there. That's where I'm going to be taking the questions at the end. So it looks like this is all working just fine. Just wanted to give people a chance before I totally jump in. So if you're logging in, if you're on YouTube, go head over to the watch page. It's highlevelhistory.com/peptalk. And there is going to be a better place for you to watch. You'll be able to comment and get more interactions from me. So I'm going to start at 8 o'clock. So we got about 3 minutes. So just take your time now, log in, get yourself set up, post your questions in the feed. At the end, sorry, I'm just trying to get my light set up here. At the end, we will take questions. So if you have any questions, you can post them and I'll go over them at the end. So definitely take a minute right now and you can comment in there. Now is a good time to do that. So let's see. I'm going to be just sort of like keeping up on here. So definitely take a minute. Oops, let me just mute that one. All right, so come on in. I'm going to get started at 8, so you will be able to, you're not missing anything. I'm going to jump in about 2 minutes, so now is a good time. Head over to the watch page. It is highlevelhistory.com/peptalk if you're not already there, and you can add in your comments on that page on the bottom. And so at the end of this session, I'll be taking all your questions and I'll go through them. If there's any issue with your feed, just try refreshing your page, or put a comment on there and let me know so that I can come back to it and see if I can fix it. So I want to make sure that this is working just fine for you. Okay, so again, we're going to get started in about 1.5 minutes. So I've got all kinds of cool stuff for you tonight. You're going to leave here tonight feeling like you're motivated and ready to go to start studying. I'm going to be answering a bunch of questions. So this is definitely the place to be tonight. So we got 1 more minute. I'm going to head over to the AP World Facebook group and remind students that I am live right now. So if you are in here, I would grab your phone, text a friend, text them the link, highlevelhistory.com/peptalk, and encourage them to join, like use the peer pressure for good, right? Like help them, convince them that they should come on in, because I'm going to show you guys exactly how to get motivated for this test. I know a lot of you struggle with procrastination, and that's, I get it. But this is an AP class. This is AP. We got to do better than that. So text your friends, tell them highlevelhistory.com/peptalk. So I'm going into the AP World History student page, and I'm live now is what I'm going to type, so that they are reminded to come on in. So all right, we're gonna get started here in just a second. So again, if you're not on the watch page, head over to the watch page. If you are, sweet, you're doing everything correctly. So I'm checking the comments too, just in case there's any issues. Let's see. Okay, so let's get going. So we got a bunch of you in here, so I'm going to hear from you for sure. So let's see. Let's just jump in. I'm going to jump back and forth between some slides and me and my face. So you'll be able to see me sometimes, you'll see slides the other times. Definitely drop questions whenever you have them. I'm going to check the questions at the end, so I'm not going to stop and answer questions. I'll do all of them at the end. But whatever questions you have, drop them in, and I will get to that for sure. So, all right, so let's jump over to the slides. So I'm going to go to the front. So this is called the AP History Pep Talk, right? The exams are coming, and I just wanted to give you a little bit of a pep talk. You know, I guess I'm a little bit of a motivational speaker in my free time, but, you know, I think on some level all teachers are trying to get students hyped, trying to get us ready for studying, you know, trying to get you invested in what you're doing. So this is the AP History Pep Talk. Again, post comments in the feed below, and if you have any questions, I'll get to them after. So let's jump on in. The official hashtag for this is high level history. So if you are tweeting or posting anywhere else on the internet, this is where you should do it. Let's see. So my question for you is, where are you tuning in from? If, you know, wherever you are, state, what city, what country, if you're out of the US, put it in the comments. It'd be really cool to hear from you guys. Where are you at? Where are you located? So we get a good sense of where people are in this, in terms of this feed. I'm located in South Portland, Maine. So it just snowed a little bit here yesterday. It's like it's never going to be spring where I'm located. So I encourage you to spread the word. You know, choose your different platforms, use the hashtag high level history, promote it to your friends on the watch page. There is a link that says click here to tweet, so you can do that. And just let people know so that you can get them invested in it as well. I think it's, you know, like I said, it's more fun with friends. So let them know that this is going on. Let them know that this is what you're doing right now, and see if they want to join. So let's continue. So who am I? What's going on here? My mission, that's a picture of me. My name is Amanda. I'm a history teacher and a content creator. I specifically work with AP World and AP US History, and I've also taught AP Human Geography. That's a really fun class too. But my mission is to help students earn college credit for AP History classes. I'm very passionate about history. Specifically, you know, I find social justice incredibly important, and in order for us to be citizens of this world, we have to understand the history that comes before it. And so I'm definitely a history nerd. I love it, and my goal is for you to earn college credit on these classes, because I'm someone who's in excuse me, a whole bunch of student debt, and if I could go back, I wish I could have taken more AP classes so that I would have saved some of that money. So I don't want you to make the same mistakes that I did. I want you to be better than me. So for that reason, I'm trying to help you earn college credit. Okay, so I would encourage you to take some notes today. I'm going to be telling you a bunch of really awesome information, specifically about how to get motivated for this test, how to study for the exam, what you need to be doing, and the best way that you can, you know, get full advantage of this session is to take notes. So grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, take some notes. You know, it's not going to be enough to just watch it and hear it. I would definitely take some notes so that you have a good plan going forward. And if you do take notes, you can tweet it at me, and I'd love to see it. I'll, you know, retweet you for sure. So again, yeah, definitely take some notes. I think that's definitely a good idea. So what are you going to learn today? So let me just give you a quick little agenda of what this is going to be about. I'm basically going to tell you 3 different things. First, I'm going to show you how you can break out of your procrastination cycle. I know a lot of students get really stuck in just like this whole procrastinating mode where you're just kind of like waiting on things and you're not getting things done. And so I'm going to show you how to break out of that. Second, I'm going to show you my proven system for how to be successful on the 2018 AP History exams. And maybe you're wondering, well, how can that be proven if those exams haven't come yet? Well, no worries. That same system is what helped a lot of my students pass this test last year in the 2017 exams, and now I've taken that and adapted it to all the updated versions of this year. So by following, it's just 3 steps. It's going to be super easy. Doesn't take any extra things from you, just all the supports you already have, and that's going to help you pass the exam. And then I'm also going to tell you a little bonus of 3 creative ways to study for history. So stick around definitely until the end. All of these things are going to come up, and I will take questions at the end, which I think is something on the next slide. Yep. So Plus, ask me anything. I'm a history teacher. I read for the AP World exam. I'm pretty well versed in these things. So if you have any questions about AP World, AP US history, AP classes in general, anything like that, you can post them in the comments live, or if you're watching during a replay, or you can tweet me at HighLoveHistory and I will get back to you. So I'll do questions at the end of this feed, but if you're watching it on a replay, you can always just drop in a question and I'll come back in and answer it. Okay, but first, I want to tell you a little bit more about myself and this workshop. And I'm going to go over to me here so you can see me. So I want to tell you a little bit more about myself and this workshop, but I'm actually going to do it as if this workshop, this little session, was a document that you were analyzing. So we're going to kind of do the hip through it, right? We're going to look at context, audience, all the different things. So I figure, if anything, you can see an example of how this is done. So what is the context of this pep talk? So first of all, it is April 4th, right? We are about a little over a month, a couple weeks. I think I tweeted earlier today, it's 43 days until the AP World exam. So that means it's a little bit less until the AP US History exam. So what's the context? Well, students are, going into spring break or have it soon. They are about to start reviewing, or they should be reviewing. I can sense the panic setting in. This is kind of the previously on, right? This is what the lead up is to this, is that there are a lot of students that are looking for resources. And so this is designed to fit into that context. Who's my intended audience? So if you are an AP World History student or an AP World teacher, or you're a parent of an AP World History student, and then same thing for AP US History, students, teachers, parents. That's my intended audience. Even if you're taking AP European History, this will also apply to you as well. So I'm specifically going to be talking to students. So if you are a teacher, just know that, this is specifically for students, but of course the teachers are going to gain a lot from this as well. So that's a little bit more about who the audience is. What about the purpose? So why am I doing this? The purpose of this is because I want you to pass this exam. I want you to have a really productive April and slide into being a really productive May and feel really good about the test. Ultimately, I want you to be really confident on test day. And so that's why I'm doing this. That's why I've put this together. I kind of have this pipe dream of, we see the results of the test and I wonder if any of my efforts on this end will bump up the scores a little bit, right? Why not? Every single one of you can pass the test. So let's do this. Let's figure this out. All right. A little bit more about my point of view. So what's my background? I taught AP World History for the last 5 years in Oakland. I have also taught AP US History. I read for the AP World exam. So when you think about what I'm going to be telling you, it's coming from a teacher's perspective, right? This is what I've seen. I've seen students make these mistakes or do these things correctly, and I've seen what that looks like. So I'm showing you this stuff because I know what the results can do for you. I've seen that for a lot of students. And then second, I'm also someone who used to be a student, right? I used to be a student, I went to college, and now I'm in a bunch of debt. And so I'm trying to help you pass these exams because that's an awesome way that you can save a bunch of money. So that's more about me. That's my point of view. So, always keep all those things in mind as we go through all this material. So my first major question for you, and I'm going to actually hop over to the watch page because I'm hoping that you will actually comment on this question. And this is a really, really, really important question. The question is, why do you want to pass the exam? I know it may sound kind of obvious, but why? Why do you want to pass the exam? I think it's really important for you to ground yourself in a why. And I'm going to even give you some suggestions here, but I want you to really be thinking about why. Why do you want to pass the exam? Maybe you want to pass the exam, here's some different ideas. Maybe you are like, I see AP classes as a path to college, and it's going to help me get into college. And so that's why I want to pass the exam. Maybe your parents want you to take the class, or you have older siblings that did, and you want to make your family proud, or you want to make yourself proud and see if you can do it. Those are all awesome reasons. Maybe you know you can save money in college by passing this test, and so that's why you want to pass the exam. Maybe you have a love for history and you want to learn all about these topics, and maybe that's why you want to pass the exam. Like, these are all totally awesome reasons. You know, like, there is no right answer to this question. You could have a lot of different answers to the question, but ultimately you need to be able to have it. You know, what is your why? Why do you want to pass the exam? You know, it shouldn't just be, I want to earn a 4 or I want to earn a 5. Like, why? Why do you want to earn those grades? What is it to you? Like, if you earn those things, what will happen to you that you want, right? What's the outcome of earning a good grade on this test? So drop that in the comments, because I want to know your why. And I think, you know, that's like, that right there is one of the most important parts of everything that you can do, right? Like, you just being able to really attach yourself to a why. So when I talk about motivation, like this right here, this is a huge part of it. Like, why do you want to pass the exam? As soon as you can attach the why to your studying, it's going to be a lot better for you. You know, you're going to be able to actually have a better sense of what purpose it is to be studying. So again, like, in terms of finding your motivation, you've got to define the why. You've got to figure out the background to it, so that it's really worth it. I mean, think about it. Like, how cool would it be? Like, regardless of your why, of your reasoning for doing this, like, let's just like walk through a future self that could be possible, right? So imagine yourself, you waking up on exam day and you're feeling super confident. Right, just imagine that. You wake up and you're not feeling stressed out. You wake up for the test, you're like marching in, you're super excited, you got this. How cool would it be if you opened your scores in July and you see a 4 or 5? Right, like, how, you know, are you thinking about that? Are you dreaming about that? Like, how cool would that be for you, for that to be you, for that to really be happening? For you to like slide into other APs, right? So you're taking AP World this year, you go into AP US next year, and you're like, I got this. I know exactly how to do this. I know what I'm doing. This is gonna be okay. You know, how cool would that be? You know, you go into your junior, your senior year, and AP classes don't even feel like a burden anymore. They feel like something that you can totally do, something you can handle. How cool would it be if you were actually able to save $8,000 per AP history class and then skip those intro history classes in college, right? Like, how cool would that be if you could do that? I did some math on, I think it was like Albert IO. I figured out that at BU, where I went to school, if I had taken all 3 AP history classes, I would have saved $24,000. Like, that's half of a year of tuition. So like, think about your future self. Like, how cool would it be to have that, to save that, to skip the intro classes? So if you love history, you skip it, you go on to harder ones. If you don't like history and instead you want to study STEM, no problem, then you get to just jump into those. What about, you know, maybe even having enough AP credit to finish college in 3 years, you know, because you felt so confident in history, you jumped into math and science and English, and your freshman year is basically done. Like, all of those things are possible, but you're going to have to really ground yourself in your why. You know, maybe one of these things makes you more excited than another. You know, maybe, and it can be a really personal reason for you, but no matter what, you've got to think about why. Why do you want this? Why do you want this to be true for you? Like, why do you want any of these things to be true for you? And that right there, like, that's the difference. That's what makes, like, really good students, is that they really know their why, and they're grounded in that, and they're not just thinking about tomorrow, they're thinking about bigger goals. So, you know, in order for any of this to be true for you, it's not going to take all that much when you really think about it, right? Like, you just need to know how to answer 55 multiple choice questions in 55 minutes. You got to be able to write killer short answers. You got to be able to analyze documents, organize high scoring DBQs, scoop up all those LEQ points, or as many as you can, and ultimately stay calm during the test, right? Like, that's what it's going to take, right? That's what you have to get to. And, you know, by the way, none of that is easy. Like, I'm not here saying like, oh, it's so easy to pass this test. Like, no, all of that it's difficult. These are hard, challenging skills, but they're all really doable. Like, they're totally doable. You know, like, if I go back to this, like, it's not out of the question that you would be able to do this. Like, these are really tangible things that you can learn how to do, and that's just going to get you to here, right? And then when you connect it to your why, well, then that's a whole different, you're playing a different game than the rest of us, you know? When you really think like, I want to pass this exam because I want to study engineering, and if I'm going to do that, I have to be able to skip my intro classes. Great. Then now you have a goal, right? So all of it is doable. Everything that the test asks you to do is totally doable. So it's just, you know, think back to yourself in September. You know, when you first signed up for this exam, like, think back to yourself in September or in August when you're first sitting in there. Like, what is it? What like, give me an emoji. How did you feel? What were you feeling like on that in September? Like, how did you feel about the class then? What was your big takeaway? Like, what were you thinking about? Because my guess is that if you were anything like my students, you came in and you were like, oh, this is so hard. I'm never going to be able to do this. Like, how am I going to get through it? You know, I mean, I remember giving my students thesis statements to write in like the first week of school, and they wrote them on the board, and then I just, like, you know, crushed their spirits, and just like, I didn't mean to, but nobody knew how to write a thesis statement. And I mean, I'm sure they went home and thought, why the heck did I sign up for this? I don't need this class. I'm trying to get out of it. You know, like, what? Give me an emoji. Like, how did you feel in September? Probably not great, you know? Like, yeah, you were like, probably like, you know, thinking, frustrated. It's a lot. It's not easy to do all that. And so, you know, what about right now? How are you feeling right now? Because I'm willing to bet that you feel better than you did in September. Maybe you're not, you know, feeling 100% right now, but hopefully you feel better than you did in September. And so, you know, when you think about right now, maybe you're thinking, well, you know, I still got a long way to go before I take this test, but at least I know how to write a thesis statement. Or at least I know what a thesis statement is, right? So, you know, real talk. Or let's go back to this slide for 1 second. So, you know, ideally, you know, when you think about where you started and where you are now, you've had wins. You've earned points on essays. You've earned points on the tests, and, you know, you've made progress. So what did it take for you to make progress all year? And what's it going to take for you to make even more progress? So speaking of right now, like, this is real talk. What does studying look like for you right now? What does it look like? Does it look like rereading a textbook? Does it look like, you know, chugging through old articles? Does it look like watching YouTube videos on repeat? You know, maybe you're watching the, like, crash course videos or other YouTubers, and you just kind of watch videos, and then that's your studying. Maybe it looks like just straight up taking a nap. Like, you're like, I don't need to study. Like, what does it look like for you right now to actually be able to study? Like, what is that? What is it, you know, what does it look like? How long do you spend? You know, what do you do? You know, really take like some stock in what does studying actually look like for you right now. And then think about, well, what might be holding you back? So, you know, if studying right now looks like Someone said, I watch crash course videos. I watch your YouTube videos. That's awesome. I'm glad that my YouTube videos are helping you out. So if you are studying just by watching videos, if you are studying just by rereading, textbooks, or you're not studying at all, the question is, what might be holding you back? This is kind of key for you. So here's I want to go through this a little bit. So I'm going to actually cut to myself. So here's the deal. If something is holding you back, more likely than not, what it is not a real thing, right? It's some sort of, for lack of better terms, excuse, right? And there are a lot of them. We all use them. We all attach certain meaning to different characteristics. Like, if this isn't true, then I can't do this other thing. Right? So I'm going to run through some myths that are true that I hear all the time from students. Reasons that I think hold students back a lot, right? So when you think about what you're doing right now and where you're at and how far you've come, there's probably still one of these things holding you back. And, it's important to name it, to really be clear on what that is, because how are you going to fix it, right? So what are some of these myths? So I hear this one all the time. I'm just not good at history. Well, here's the thing, you guys. That's not a real thing. Like, nobody's good at something or bad at something. You tend to spend more time practicing the things you like, and therefore you get better at them. But you can be good at anything. Like, you just need a toolbox and a practice plan. Like, if you want to be the best singer in the entire world, you could. It would take you a lot of practice, especially if you're not already a singer or whatever. But like, you just need to know how to do it. You need a toolbox to figure out how do I hit those notes? And you need a practice plan. You got to figure out, how can I practice so that I'm always challenging myself? So I'm not just doing the same things over and over again, right? It's not, there's no such thing as not being good at history. Everybody can be good at history. It just depends on whether or not you know how to be good at history and that you're practicing those things. So this is not a real thing. I don't like hearing this from students. I don't like hearing this from anyone. I heard someone the other day say, we were talking about traveling, and I mentioned a country that I've been to, and one of my friends was like, oh, I don't know where that is. I'm not good at geography. I'm like, you're an adult. Get a map and look at the map. Practice it. Figure it out. You're not just not good at something. You just haven't spent time practicing it yet. So, what's another myth? I don't have a good memory. This is a common one. I don't have a good memory. So a lot of people will say, I can't be good at history, or I'm not going to be good at this test because I don't have a good memory. I can't memorize the dates. I can't memorize all these people, all these dead white guys. I can't keep their names in my head, and it's a problem. Well, here's the thing. The best students learn the stories, not memorize not memorized facts. Like, for any of the AP history classes, for world, for US, it's not about memorizing the facts. That's not going to help you. Yes, you do need to know evidence points, but you're far more likely to remember the evidence points if you actually understand the story. Learn the story of industrialization, not just the tiny little information pieces. Learn the story of World War I. Not just the dates and the battles or whatever, learn the story of it. That's going to really help you focus on cause and effect, which is way more valuable on the test anyways. So don't worry about your memory. Learn the story, and that's going to stick more anyways. Here's another myth. Ain't nobody got time for that. Yeah, that's a common myth, right? You think that studying is going to take you hours and hours and hours. Well, here's the thing. It's not. It shouldn't. Right? It will if you decide that it should, but it doesn't have to. Studying doesn't have to be a whole Saturday marathon of an event. Fit the studying into your life, not the other way around. Right? You already have all kinds of responsibilities, but you also have a lot of resources that you can use. You have your phone on you all the time. Can you get a good app? Right? There's a Romulus app coming out soon that's awesome. Can you get an app and just pull out the app when you have a few minutes before class starts, on the bus, on the, at lunch, after school? You're on Instagram anyways. You're on your phone anyways. So fit studying into what you're already doing. don't try to do it the other way around. Don't try to schedule a 6-hour marathon study session unless that's how you would like to study. Then go wild. But for the most part, it's not like, you know, you can find ways around this, even if you're really busy. Here's another one. I'm not going to pass anyways. I'm not going to pass, so I may as well. Sorry, Georgia, I see. Shout out to Mr. Co. No worries. So, some students might say, I'm not going to pass anyways, so why should I even try? Right? I haven't done well all year, and I know I'm not going to pass the test, so I'm just going to give up now. That's a terrible idea, right? Like, not with that attitude, you're not going to pass. Like, if you want to pass this test, you can pass this test. But if you just decided that you're not going to, well, then guess what? You're not going to. Because then you're not going to actually spend the time you need to review. So if you stop thinking like that and start thinking about possibilities rather than all these myths, like that's what's going to be a huge game changer for you, right? Like really understand the opportunity that you have in front of you and make a plan for it, right? So here's the goal. And this is the kind of thing, you know, you've got your why and you want to write your why down after this. Be ready for the exam in May. And put it on a Post-it note. Put it on your mirror. Right, I want to be ready for the exam in May because I want to save money in college. Because I want to make my parents proud. Because I want to have it on my transcript that I passed. Right, because I want to be proud of myself. I want to see if I can do it. Whatever. Write that sentence. Write it down and put it somewhere that you're going to see all the time. I want to be ready for the exam in May because. Like, what is it for you? Why? So, all right, going into this next step. So now that you've figured out, so now that you know that your goal, you know your why, you know, and hopefully you've been taking notes and you understand your own why. Now I want to take you into a little bit more practical stuff. So, you know, now what? I know I want to pass the exam. I know I want to do it for this reason. How am I going to get there? Okay, so this is what's called a 3-phase loop. So this is my like system for studying. And I personally think that this is key. I think any student that actually uses this system like wholeheartedly, there is no reason why you don't pass the exam because it's entirely based on a completely personalized model. Right? It's not a one-size-fits-all thing. You're going to make this what you need it to be. And that's why it's going to help you. That's why students that use this are going to pass. Like that's going to happen. So what are the phases? So let's go through them. There's 3 phases. Phase number 1 is called data. So I'm going to get into a little bit more about how this is going to work. But in order for you to do this part, you have to have all of your old tests, your old essays, everything you've done this year, all the things that you have grades about, right? Like what is data? You know, your AP World or your AP US History data is one, your grade. Like your grade is useful, but it's not that useful. You actually need to really look into your specific assignments. You know, your teacher has been grading things for you and doing all kinds of work, putting all kinds of comments on your essays. And now's the time, I mean, you should have been doing this the whole time, but now's the time where you can really make use of those things. So how do you do this phase? First, gather your past essays and tests. Get them all together. If you don't already have a binder, get yourself a binder, put it all together, you know, put them in order. Look specifically at like this semester's stuff because theoretically you're better now than you were in November. So you want to be using stuff that shows you your most recent data. Okay. And then you're going to track the points, you know, create a little data tracker and figure out on every DBQ I wrote this year, you know, I'm going to check off all the times I earned each point. And then you can figure out which points you earn the least. So I'm going to come back over here to me. So just to like explain this part a little bit more, you know, you have all your DBQs. Make yourself a little chart so that you can, I'm trying to like get this in. Oh, it's over here. So make yourself a little chart, log the DBQ, log each deep time you did a DBQ. All right. Maybe it was about the American Revolution. Maybe it was about industrialization, whatever. Log each one. Then each column will just be a rubric point, and just check off. Every time you earned that point, check it off. And what you're going to be able to see is any point that you're not earning, any point that you've earned less. Okay, so maybe you go through it and you're like, whoa, I never earned the context point. Or, I've only actually earned thesis points once. Like, that's huge if you can identify that and you know that that's true. So make yourself a little chart. You can do that really easily on a piece of paper, and it won't take you very long. If you're on spring break right now, this is an awesome thing to do over spring break. Gather your data and figure it out so that you can identify 2 areas for improvement. You want to figure out 2 places that you can get better. So maybe it's context point and evidence. Maybe you realize, whoa, my period 3 stuff is way lower than other things. So maybe I really need to work on period 3. It could be a time period. It could be a skill. It could be anything. It shouldn't be a whole type of essay. Like, I don't want you to say, I need to get better at DBQs. Like, that's too big. There's too many little parts to it. So really narrow it down and identify 2 areas for improvement. Okay, so once you have your data, the second phase is to actually build skills. So this little image is a little weird, but it kind of makes sense, right? When you think about, your knowledge as like a puzzle, and maybe you're just like missing a piece and you need to just kind of understand that piece. So you got to go find, how can you fill the gap that you're missing? Like, how can you find any puzzle pieces that are missing for you so that, if it's thesis statements for you, like maybe there's a puzzle piece missing, and then once you find it and fill it, like, got it. Thesis statements are going to be easy. So here's how this phase works. So what you'll need to do is gather resources. Maybe it's a prep book, which, by the way, I just posted a Best AP World Prep Books video today. So if you're looking for the best prep book, that could be useful. Maybe it is different videos. Georgia, you mentioned using my videos. So, you could use that. For apps, maybe it's an app that you need to get. Maybe it's a study group. Like, get the resources that you need. Like, where can you learn the information that you're missing? And there's so many resources out there. There's a lot. Some of them are free, some of them are paid, but either way, you're going to be able to find what you are looking for. All right, and then schedule a plan for yourself. So if you know that you need to finish, you want to reread parts of period 3 and practice a couple of thesis statements, then get yourself a calendar, open up Google Calendar, it's free, and make a plan. Plug in all the things you're already doing this week, and then plug in outside of that, where can you find time to do the things you need to do? And it doesn't have to be long, right? It could be 10 minutes that you want to spend on something. That's totally good. So, and then it's just like get to work, right? So just to kind of like recap here. So for the skills, find the resources that you need. You know yourself the best. You know how you learn. Do you prefer reading material, talking, videos, essay prompts, whatever? There's tons of stuff. So find all the things you need. Make a study group or find a study buddy. You can go into the AP World Student Facebook group if you're looking for study buddies, and make a plan for yourself. So schedule it all out. If you have, baseball practice every day after school and you can't study until 4, but when you get home from practice, you're exhausted and you're not going to do it anyways, then don't plan it for then. Plan it for another time, right? Is there 30 minutes, 20 minutes during the day that you can spend doing the things that are going to help you, right? And I'll walk you through an example for a student as well. So here's a quick little bonus. I told you I was going to give you 3 creative ways to study history. So here you go. 3 things that you could do. You could create timelines of each time period and identify CCOT, continuity and change over time. Like, you could just make the timeline, choose a time period, include all the important dates in that time period, all the important events, developments, and then analyze it for CCOT. That's an awesome way to study history. When I was in college, I made so many timelines to study for my history classes. Another thing you can do, print a blank map of either the whole world or the specific region that you're studying and annotate them. It's blank. So, you know, take a certain time period and put in all the key terms, but put them all exactly where they actually go. Put them, you know, where, if it's a term relating to China, put it in China. You know, if it's a term relating to the west coast of the US, put it there. So that you can kind of actually visually see where all these things end up. That I actually used to do that too with note cards. I would make note cards of the terms I was learning and then lay them out on the floor in the shape of a map, right? It kind of helped me to remember the map, but also to remember the content too. One last creative way to study history. Choose 5 key terms, any key terms, even if you don't think they're related, and then write a paragraph and connect them all. See if you can put them all in one paragraph and find connections. That's an awesome way to study. You're going to learn a lot and be able to remember a lot about that time period, right? So those are 3 things that you can do tonight. You know, you could do them tomorrow. You can do them this weekend. It doesn't take much from you to be able to do these things. And as long as you attach them to skills you needed to build, then you're going to be in a good spot. You know, when you look at your data, if it tells you that it's the classical empires that you needed to work on the most, then use this stuff and, you know, create a timeline of the classical era. You know, make a map and just put the classical era terms. You know, consider those things. Okay, phase 3. Phase 3 is all about updating and reflecting. So, you know, it's not enough to do all of those things once, to find your data, to build a schedule, and then stop or just keep going with that schedule. You've got to actually reflect on your progress. Like, you need new data. So at the end of the week, you know, write another practice essay and have your teacher grade it, or email it to me and have me grade it. And then you got to make some adjustments. So hopefully whatever your plan was made you better at the skill that you set out to fix. And now you can work on something else. So what can you work on, you know? And then go back and repeat it. It's all this like cycle. So really think about, you know, what can you adjust? If you made a plan for yourself and then you found that you weren't actually following through with it, well, then it might be time to reevaluate where you're at, right? Like, it's not, you can't just keep planning to do things that aren't working. You need to adjust. So if you keep saying you're going to do something, you know, every night after dinner, but you never actually do it, like, then that's not a good time for you to study. Find a different time and plan it then. You know, whatever it is, update your own plan so that it makes sense for you. So here's an example student. This is a student named Rachel. Actually changed her name so that, just to kind of protect her privacy. So this was an example. Me and her, we worked together to identify 2 rubric points that she was not earning. So we went through and we figured out that she specifically needed to improve her thesis and her evidence. Like, that was key for her. She really liked watching videos and practicing essays. Like, those for her, she felt like that's how she learned the best. So me and her, we made a 2-week schedule for her, and we figured out, well, here's what, you know, here's what you're going to do. In order to fix your thesis point, you're going to write practice essays. I'm going to give you several prompts, and you're going to write practice thesis statements. And then 2, in order to help you with evidence, you're going to watch videos to figure out, you know, key terms, and then you'll be able to bullet point the key terms under your thesis. And you're going to do 5 of these this week. You're going to write 5 thesis statements and bullet point, evidence, you know, key terms underneath. You know, and let's plan it out. So we I had my whiteboard and we just put in, all right, what are you doing this week? What's going on? When can you give 20 minutes to AP World? And she did. So she went through the week, or actually for her, we did 2 weeks. And then after the 2 weeks, we reassessed. So she wrote another practice essay for me. And then we planned the next 2 weeks after that. And, you know, we noticed that she got a lot better in the evidence, but still wasn't doing great on thesis statements. So we did it again. We chose a different time period and we did the same thing the next 2 weeks. And you know what? Like, she was in a pretty good spot after that, you know? So like, really think about what this is going to mean for you, you know? Like, think back to your why. Think back to all those things that go into, why do you want this? You know, you've got 43 days for AP World. You've got a little bit less for AP US History. If you start this cycle right now and you plan yourself the next week, you're going to be in a really good spot, you know. And coming back over here, so, you know, here's them again. Definitely write these things down. This is why I wanted you to take notes, so that you know what these things are, so that you can remember them. You got to find out your data. You have to understand where you're at. You know, you can't just jump into studying blindly. Like, you don't, I know when a lot of times students will say, like, I don't know anything. I can't remember anything. Like, that's not true. That could have been one of the myths I listed. Like, you know things. You've been in this class all year, maybe 2 years. You know things. So you just have to figure out, what do you know less, right? What are you not as good with? And then figure out, how can I build those skills? And how can I then update my practice plan, you know? And do this every single week. And, you know, this is going to get you in a really good spot. You know, like I said, remember your why. That's what's going to drive you more than anything. You know, like for me right now, I'm doing this because I want you to succeed. Like, I want this for you. And so when I really think about that why, it helps me to, like, get out of bed and to get to work and to put all this time into making these videos, because I see a larger reason why it's going to help me out, why it's going to help you out, you know? Like, really, like, invest yourself in that why, and use that motivation. It's your own, it's personal, you know, and your why might be different than your friends, and that's okay. There's no right why, but you need to remember your why. So we're just about getting done, but from here, this is where things get, you know, important, because now that you spend all this time watching this, you now need to know where to go from here. Like, it's not enough to just watch this and then click close and move on, you know? Like, you've got to know what to do now. And so from here, you have 2 paths. You know, you've got 2 choices. One, maybe you're like, sweet, thanks, Amanda, I totally get this. So you're going to take what you just learned and you're going to tap into your support systems. You've got your teacher, you've got your family, your friends, and you're going to find, you know, you're going to figure it out. And you're going to get to work. You feel like you are pretty good, in a pretty good spot. You feel like you have, you know, everything you need to know for that. You know, maybe you feel like you, in general, you're pretty independent and you can figure things out on your own. Or maybe you're watching this and you're thinking, I'm still not sure what to do. I want to believe that I want this to work for me. Like, I know my why. I know what the 3-phase loop looks like, but I don't know how to figure out what it is that I need to work on. Like, that's one of the hardest pieces, is to really analyze your data, because you have to really know what to look at. And so maybe you're thinking, you know, I've looked at my data, I've looked at my essays, and I can't figure out what I'm doing wrong, or I can't figure out how to get better at those skills. Like, I know I'm never earning the thesis point, and I keep trying to get better, but I'm not getting any better. And so path 2 looks like asking for more help. You know, like, you have your why and you've got a lot of people in your life, and, you know, me included, I want you to succeed. And so it becomes, you know, what can we do to help you? And so where can you actually get help? If you're thinking, I need more help, well, you could ask your teacher. I'm sure your teacher's been preaching all kinds of review sessions or after school or lunchtime things. You know, if not, ask them. You could create a study group, you know, get your friends together and work together on this. See if maybe your friend understands something that you didn't, and you understand something that your friend didn't. And then finally, use social media. Like, I'm personally on every single one of those social media things below. You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, it's at HighLevHistory. On Tumblr, you know, you've already found my YouTube channel. So, you know, use social media. You can ask me for help. Like, I'm a resource that you can use. And so if I can help you, awesome. Or maybe through my social media channels, you found someone else that can help you out. So that would be sweet. Here's another option. How can I help you? So you can email me, you can ask me questions, but I have another awesome resource for you. And so this is called the High Level History Community. And this is for AP World and AP US History students. And what's really cool about this community is that I'm going to be holding group review sessions online, live, for twice a week, every Friday and Saturday until the exam. And then during exam week, I'm going to be going live every single night before the exam. That's for both APUS and AP World. So the high level history community is really like, it includes 16 different group review sessions, and you get live access to all of them. And then you also get replays as well. So if you can't go live, no worries. You can come, you can go later. And so you get access to all of that. So this is like the first AP World, APUS history community online that I've seen. There's nothing else like this, where a teacher, an exam reader is going to be running review sessions for students, and really digging into like, what do you need help with? What is it that I can help you with? Creating that community that we can help each other. And so if this is something that you're interested in, you can click learn more it's on the review page or the watch page. If you're on YouTube, head over to highlevelhistory.com/pep talk, and that is going to take you, there's a button there for learn more. And what's awesome about this community too is I am just launching it this week. So this Friday, I'm going to hold the very first high level history group review session. And that one is going to actually be free. That one is going to be open to everyone. That's for World and for US. So if you click learn more, and you can register for that session. So this Friday, I'm going to be doing an AP World review for period 1, a full content review, everything you need to know about period 1. And for AP US history, I'll be doing period 1 and period 2. And then on Saturday, I'm going to be going through a sample essay, actually multiple choice. So on Saturday, we're going to be doing practice multiple choice for AP World and AP US history. So if you're asking, how can I get better at multiple choice questions, then that's something that might be really worth looking into, So right now, the launch is happening for the high level history community. The price is like pretty low. It's really affordable considering that you're already looking at prep books, you're already looking at all these other things. And ultimately, if you pass these exams, if you pass both exams, it'll save you $16,000 in college. And not to mention the community itself, I'm going to have it open always. So if you're in AP World right now and you get into the community, then you're going to have it for when you take AP US. Like, I'm not going away over the summer. I'm not going away next year. This is going to continue. So as long as you are taking AP history classes, this is going to be a valuable resource for you. And then I'm also looking at bringing in AP European and AP Human Geography as well. So you would also get access to all of those group review sessions. So with that said, check out the high level history community. This is something that I'm really proud of. I've been working really hard to launch this, and I'm really excited to open it up for students for the 2018 exams. I'm hoping that we really drive a wedge in those, in what they're expecting on their scores. So let me bring it back to me. So you can go to highlevelhistory.com/pep talk and click the learn more button, and right there you're going to find out more about the community. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's a community, so it's going to be students. There will be teachers that are helping on the back end, and we are all going to be working together to make sure that you get that 4 or the 5 that you really want. And it's especially important for you when you really think about your why. Like, why do you want this? It's because that's what's going to help you get to the goal that you have. So click learn more, check it out, because I'm really excited to start working with you. So we'll see you in there. Well, I want to see, let's see what kind of questions we have. So if I'm going over to the questions, I'll definitely do a shout out here to George Coe. Looks like students here are excited for me to shout him out. So there's that. On the watch page, we had one question about what's the most efficient way to study. Also, since all multiple choice questions are based on pictures or documents, how do we study for multiple choice? Well, most efficient way to study would definitely be what I had just talked about. Like, you're going to be most efficient when you are really focused in on what you need, and that's part of it. And then in terms of multiple choice, so studying for multiple choice can look a little bit different. It's not, because they're not like trivial type questions. They are, you know, they're analysis questions. But I think it's going to come down to whether or not you can analyze images. You know, like a lot of times the answers are in the question or in the source. And so what you really want to do is practice a lot of them. You want to practice a lot of sources and analysis on different images and different, you know, documents. And that's going to kind of help you to pull out the most important thing. So I would really recommend, you know, getting practice questions, whether from a prep book or an app, and practicing that process. And then the other major thing that you need for multiple choice is key terms. There are a lot of questions that kind of don't even need the source. You just need to know what those words mean. And so I highly recommend practicing key terms and putting a lot of energy into that, because that's going to really help you out, not only with multiple choice, but across the different time periods. So if you have any other questions, type them into the comments on either page. All right, so let's see. Find your key concept video is very helpful for multiple choice to give us the background. Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so my videos are definitely like really trying to help you see like a larger sense of what's going on in the time period. You know, I'm not trying to give you like every tiny little detail that you could possibly have to know, but rather give you this like overview of what's going on. And so I just posted period 4 a few days ago. So the period 4 videos are up, and period 3 will be ready to go probably this weekend. So I'm going to have them all up for sure by the time the test comes around, and we'll see how that goes. So any other questions, just drop them in the comments, drop them in the chat, or in the comment section of the Pep Talk page. I'm going to put back up this slide. So again, like, I'm super pumped to announce this high-level history community because this resource just doesn't exist for history. I think there are a lot of resources out there for science, for math, for English, but history gets forgotten a lot, and I think that sucks. Like, I want to focus on history. I love history, and I want students to, you know, you don't have to love history, but I want you to benefit from these opportunities, the opportunity that AP gives you. And so I can help you with that through history. And so I'm you know, the community is open. You can head over to the page to learn more about the high-level history community. Is there. It's live, and you can enroll. And you can especially enroll for the very first high-level history group review party. It will be this Friday at 7 p.m. And we'll be talking about period 1 for AP World, and for AP US History this Friday we'll be talking about period 1 and 2. So if you're watching this on a replay and those have already happened, still head over to the page, the high-level history community page, because I'm going to be going live every Friday and Saturday night before the exam. And then during exam week, I'm going to be live every single day leading up to the exam. And I mean, that's huge, right? To like have a place where you can have live support, you know, hear from me. I'll go through the content with you. I'll take all your questions. You're going to know everything you need to know about the content, about the skills, so that you can really just absolutely kill it. Like, I really want to see you score well. And so this is the like ultimate resource that I've put together for you. I kind of think of it as like a interactive prep book, right? You can go and buy a prep book, and that's awesome, but it's just you reading the prep book. You know, with me, it's much more of like actually getting questions answered, getting explanations for things. You know, I'll throw in some memes and some GIFs throughout. I'm not trying to bore you, you know, in review. So any more questions that you have, you can put it there. Drop them in the chat, drop them in the comments, and I will answer any other questions. Oh, one other question that had come up was about, what was it? About, I forget what it was. Here. Do you have any summary corresponding to all the periods of the exam? I probably do somewhere. I'd have to look it up, but I feel like it's one of those things that like you can get summaries in prep books and right now even Kaplan prep book is free. The link, you can go watch the video or just look up Kaplan on Amazon and they'll have summaries for you, and that could be pretty useful. Another question that I got, this one is a good question. What should I do if I get jitters during the test? I like this question. So a lot of the test is going to come down to whether or not you can stay calm, so like, can you stay calm and focused? And some of that is going to be with practicing. If you've never sat down and taken a 3-hour test before, make sure that, if your teacher is offering a practice exam, that you're taking it. Some teachers make that mandatory or not. So you want to make sure that you take that practice exam so that you have experience sitting through an entire, what it feels like to sit through 3 hours of test taking. And that's going to help you be able to attack the actual test better. So, you will get less nervous during the test if you actually like practice that skill beforehand. So that's like one way that you can practice that. So anyways, I'm going to switch over one more time to me. So I just wanted to thank you for taking the time to come to this pep talk. I'd love to, I'm going to post the replay and share that link with you. I'm going to email it out and I'm going to post it on all social media. So if you found this really valuable, I would love to have, your friends watch it as well. And so you can tweet out the link for the pep talk. It's just highlevelhistory.com/pep talk. And I will be, people can go in and watch the replay. It'll be there for them always. So I think that is something that is useful for them. And until then, I hopefully will see you in the group review session on Friday. So remember, because this is launch week, I have opened up Friday's review sessions for not only community members, but also for everyone. So anyone can come into that session and it is free. So you can get kind of it's almost like a free trial, right? So register for that session and I'll put the description in the link or the link in the description below. I'll do that in just a minute so that you can get registered for that session. And so I'll also be sending out an email with that as well. So I will see you at the review session on Friday. We're going to be talking about period 1 for AP World or period 1 and 2 for AP US. And then I'll hopefully see you again on Saturday in the review session. If you get into the community right now, you'll have it for this entire review period and for all of next year too, right? So kind of, win-win for you. So head over highlevelhistory.com/pep talk and click learn more, and I will see you this weekend.